Hey, what's going on YouTube? Welcome to Post Cologne. Today we're taking a look at Paris Corner's Ophidian Black Cherry. All right, so Ophidian Black Cherry is from the House of Paris Corner. It's an eau de parfum concentration, and you can pick this bad boy up for in and around $40 at various discounters. Link's gonna be down in the description if you decide you wanna check this one out. Also have some coupon codes, save yourself a few bucks at a variety of different places if you decide you want to shop with them. So box presentation on this, really quite nice. Nice thick cardboard box, has this kind of shimmery gold pattern that's going on there, a little hummingbird with some kind of floral touches there, along with the name of the fragrance and the fragrance notes on the side, and a nice kind of shimmery gold going along the back. Hologram sticker is right there, and it does open up like so to reveal our fragrance bottle sitting in there. We have a nice little kind of descriptor sonnet there of the fragrance on the inside. So box presentation on this, pretty decent. And now when it comes to the bottle presentation on this is something else. We have this kind of coiled snake that's wrapping around the top here, this unbelievably unique style of cap that's sitting there. But bottle on this, nice thick heavy bottle, does have kind of a glass kind of base going on to this that kind of has this nice gradient that works its way up. Cap on this is a nice thick heavy metal. Definitely won't crush in my powerful hands. It does sit kind of funny. You do have to have it positioned in the right place for it to snap in place, but overall the cap on that is something else. And the atomizer on this bad boy, also quite nice. Nice long sprays, good fat puffs, absolutely get the job done. So overall presentation on this for $40, definitely unique, but nice. So if you're wondering what Paris Corner's Ophidian Black Cherry smells like, you've come to the right place, because I'm about to tell you. Some of the notes listed in this are a cherry, raspberry, bergamot, woody notes, praline, heliotrope, rose, oud, tonka bean, patchouli, vetiver, and some incense. So let me tell you what I get from this fragrance. In the opening, as the name would suggest, you definitely get that cherry note coming through. There's some additional raspberry sweetness there that kind of adds to this kind of almost tart cherry note that's there. Little kiss of that bergamot, but it's really about that cherry that's coming through. And it does in the initial like few seconds kind of have this like cherry wine sort of feel going on to it. So I'm not sure if it's like the perfumer's alcohol that's mixing in with that cherry raspberry note that does that, but it definitely has that kind of wine cherry note. But it quickly, it fades more into that cherry. And there is a moment also where it kind of has a bit of that synthetic cherry vibe that's going on. So like a cherry chapstick sort of thing that's going on to it. But as this opens up a little bit more, you get about a couple minutes into it, it really smooths out into kind of a nice cherry raspberry sort of accord that comes through. Little hint of that rosy nuance that's in the mid. So you get some of that heliotrope rosiness that comes through, more of the rosiness, sweetness that comes through. Really works well with that fruity sweetness that's there. And it does have this little kiss of this kind of this incensey, woodsy sort of vibe, just kind of forming the base, giving it kind of a darkness and a depth that goes onto it, but really about that kind of fruity, cherry, sweet opening that's going on to it. But as this opens up a little bit more, you get that praline note coming forward, so it adds to more of kind of a gourmandy cherry accord that comes through. The cherry does start to fade back, so even though this is like named black cherry and it's kind of all about that cherry in the opening, the cherry doesn't last all that long. It does kind of fade in and mix in with some more of those kind of floral sweet notes, some of that praline gourmandy sort of feel going on to it, while still having some of that fruity sweetness. But it does transition into more kind of a darker, woodier style of fragrance. So you get this little wisp of this incense that infuses with the woody notes that are there. Little hint of some earthiness, just some patchouli just to kind of tie everything together. And in the base, you get this like nice dry style of tonka bean that comes through. Adds a bit of a vanilla sweetness to it, but it works in really well with those kind of deep, rich woods. People have said, or the notes have said that there's an oud note in here. I'm not picking it up. Some people say they can pick up the oud in here. It might be a very woody oud that's kind of mixing in with those woody accords that I'm just not picking up, but it's not an oud style of fragrance in my opinion. I am not picking up on the oud. Nice, deep, rich, almost smoky style of woods, mixing in with that tonka bead, adding some of that dry texture that's going on, and you do get that kind of, that mix of those sweet accords from that, the cherry, the raspberry, the praline, some of those floral touches. It just kind of sit on top, and then that tonka bean eventually kind of almost replaces those sweet notes as kind of the sweeter focus of this fragrance. So starts off very kind of lively, cherry, sweet, kind of fun style of fragrance, and moves into a very kind of elegant, mysterious, smoky, woody style of fragrance in that dry down. And overall, if you're into that kind of scent profile, I think you're going to enjoy this one. The notes on this really line up with the KLE's Love Fest Burning Cherry. I haven't had my nose on that one in quite a while, so I can't say if they're like very similar, but the notes do line up almost identically for that fragrance. So if you like that fragrance, you might enjoy this fragrance as well. So when it comes to the performance of Paris Corner's Ophidian Black Cherry, The projection on this, I have to admit, is a little bit disappointing. I'd say it gets an okay amount of projection for that first hour, but it does quickly move into a very kind of an intimate style of fragrance at that point. Not quite to a skin scent, but it does hover fairly close to the skin. After about that 1 hour mark, you might stretch that out to about 90 minutes perhaps, but I am finding the projection on this is average, even maybe a little bit below average for my liking. Longevity is decent. I'm getting around 7 hours worth of longevity before it really becomes a skin scent at that point. It does linger as a skin scent for a decent amount of time, and I find this really does stick to clothing fairly well, so you can push out that longevity a little bit longer when you get some on your clothing and, you know, get whiffs of it throughout the day as well into the next morning. So longevity on this is decent, but I do wish the projection was a little bit better. But overall, I'd say it's kind of an average performer, but I am slightly disappointed with that projection. So when it comes to the where and when, I think Paris Corner's Ophidian Black Cherry would be most appropriate. I think this is very versatile across occasions. You can definitely wear this as a casual style of fragrance, but I think it would be a great date night fragrance. Just has that kind of sexiness, that kind of mystique, that elegance that's going on to it, and just that kind of allure that I think it would work great for date nights. And I do think it has, again, that elegance that goes on to it that would work for kind of a more formal dressed up occasion. Does have a bit of that flirty side with some of the sweet notes that come through, but I find that kind of the woodiness, that little wisp of that smokiness that comes through, and just kind of like the dark, deep, rich style of sweetness that comes through. I do think this would work for formal occasions. In terms of seasons, I think this is a great fall, winter style of fragrance. You could push that into the spring. It does kind of have some of that kind of that uplifting, fruity, floral touch sweetness that's in there, but it does really kind of dry down a lot darker and deeper at that point. So I do think it's best suited for kind of the cooler, cold style of seasons. But like I said, you could push this off in the spring. Summertime, I think this would be too sweet, too cloying if you got this into the hot, humid heat. So overall, I think it's a very versatile fragrance across occasions. I think this is a great cold weather fragrance. So my overall thoughts on Paris Corner's Ophidian Black Cherry. This is a good smelling fragrance. I did forget to mention in the earlier parts there that this is a unisex style of fragrance in my opinion. I might say this tilts a little bit on the masculine side just because of those woods that come through, kind of the deep, rich, almost smoky style of woods that kind of mix in with those other accords. I might tilt a little bit on the masculine side, but some might argue that this tilts a little bit on the feminine side as well because of that cherry note, the kind of the sweet notes that come through, the little kind of a rosy floral edges that come through on this one. Some might say that's a little bit feminine. So at the end of the day, it really comes down to what kind of fragrances you enjoy, what you like to wear. But I would say that it does kind of straddle the line. It is very much a unisex fragrance, and I think either gender would enjoy this if they enjoy that kind of scent profile. I do wish the performance on this was a little bit better. As I mentioned, the projection on this is a little on the weak side for me. It does settle in a little bit quicker than I would hope, but the longevity is pretty decent. So overall, it's not a poor rating when it comes to the performance, but it's not a stellar rating as well. But I do enjoy the versatility of this. I think you can just kind of a dumb reach fragrance in terms of the casual, date night, or formal occasions in the kind of the cooler weather. So overall, I think this is a good fragrance. It's nothing mind-blowing in my opinion, and it's not necessarily a rush out to get unless you really like those cherry style of fragrances, in which case I think you're really going to enjoy this one and you might want to check it out. That's Paris Corner's Ophidian Black Cherry. And I want to hear from you guys. What's the scent of the day? What's everyone wearing today? Comment down below. Love hearing from you guys. Love getting your different recommendations, your hidden gems, different taste and scent profiles. Appreciate you. And if you enjoyed this video, make sure you hit that like button. Don't forget to subscribe. Thanks so much for watching, and we'll see y'all next time.